Gyan Ganga, Sant Rampal Ji Maharaj, page 312 continued. From the beginning there is no untouchability in Sri Jagannath temple. After a few days, the Pandey, who had pushed God Kabir in Sudra form, developed leprosy. Even after taking all kinds of treatment, he did not get cured. The suffering of leprosy kept on increasing, and he also performed all the religious services, repeatedly cried before Sri Jagannath Ji, and prayed for the removal of suffering, but everything failed. Sri Krishna Ji appeared in his dream and said, "Pandey, wash the feet of that saint whom you had shoved on the main door of the temple, and sip that foot nectar, Charnamrit. Then by his blessings your leprosy can get cured, only if he will forgive you from his heart, otherwise not. A drowning man will clutch at a straw." A chief Panda woke up in the morning, taking many fellow Pandas with him, and went to that place where God Kabir was sitting in form of Shudra. And as soon as the Panda came near to God, Supreme God stood up and started walking and said, "Panda, I am untouchable. Stay away from me. You might become impure." Panda approached nearer. Supreme God moved further forward. Then the Panda burst into tears and said, "Parvadigar, forgive my fault." Then the kind God stopped. Panda respectfully spread a clean cloth on the ground and requested God to sit on it. God sat down on that cloth. Then that Panda himself washed God's feet and put the foot nectar, Charnamrit, in a bowl. God Kabirji said, "Panda, drink this for 40 days as well as bathe by putting some in the bathing water, and your leprosy will get cured on the 14th day." The 40th day. And said, even in future, if anyone will practice untouchability in this Jagannath temple, then will get its punishment. All the people present there promised that from today onwards, no untouchability will be practiced in the sacred place. Now please think, this is the only temple in India where from the beginning there has been no untouchability. Even I, this Das, got the opportunity to see that place. And I had gone with several disciples to see that place, thinking that, let us gather some evidence. Even today we found all the proofs evident there. The stone platform sitting on which Supreme God Kabirji had stopped the sea to save the temple is present even today. A dome has been built on it as a memorial. A monastery is also present there from the very old Mahant God, tradition successor. There, on asking about the information on the above-mentioned protection of the temple from the sea from a nearly 70-year-old Mahant Ji, he also told the same thing and said that my ancestors have been Mahants gods here for many generations. Here only, Sri Dharamdas Ji and his wife Bhaktamati Amani Devi have given up their bodies. He also showed their graves, built adjacent to each other. Then went inside the temple of Sri Jagannath Ji, and even today there is no idol worship there, but have definitely displayed an exhibition. The three idols of God, Sri Krishna Ji, Sri Balaram Ji and Sister Subhadra Ji, which are installed in the temple, do not have digits in both the hands, and both the hands are physically defective. These idols also are not worshipped. They have been kept only for the sake of viewing. There I asked a guide, Pandey, that we have heard that the sea had demolished this temple 5 times and it was reconstructed. Why did the sea demolish it? Then who stopped the sea? The Pandey said, "I do not know this much. All this was the grace of Jagannath Ji. He only had stopped the sea. I have heard that the sea had demolished the temple 3 times. I then asked, why did God not stop the sea the first time? The Pandey said, it is a Leela, divine act of Jagannath. I then asked, is there any untouchability in this temple or not? He said, ever since this temple has been built, there has been no untouchability here. In this temple, a Sudra and a Panda can have food in one plate or a leaf plate. Nobody forbids them. I questioned, Panditji, in other temples previously, there used to be a lot of untouchability. Why not in this? The God is same. Panday's answer was, it is a Leela, a divine act of Jagannath. Now pious souls should think that how much the truth has been suppressed just by saying a Leela, a divine act of Jagannath. Sacred monuments are respectable, but self-welfare is only possible by doing bhakti. Sadhana, according to the Gyan mentioned in the Holy Gita Ji and the Holy Vedas, as given by Supreme God Kabir Ji. Otherwise, because of it being opposite to the scriptures, the human life will be wasted. Evidence, Gita Adhyay 16, Mantra 23-24. In the temple of Sri Jagannath, according to the order of God, it is only auspicious to sing the glory of the knowledge of Holy Gita Ji, and self-welfare is only possible by doing worship according to the method of bhakti mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ji. Otherwise there's no benefit, just by visiting Jagannath Ji, or by eating prasad of khichdi, because this action, because of not being mentioned in Sri Gita Ji, is against the scripture, which is evident in Adhyay 16, Mantra 23-24. What is the definition of heaven? For example, consider heaven to be a hotel, a restaurant, like a rich man in summer goes to cold places in cities like Simla or Kulu Manali, and there he stays in a hotel in which the room and rent and the food expenses have to be paid. After spending 20 or 30,000 rupees in 2 or 3 months, he has to return to his sphere of actions, then do hard labour for 10 months, then spend your own earnings for 2 months and come back. If in some year the earnings are not good, then even suffer for the want of that comfort of 2 months. Consider heaven to be similar. After doing sadhana on this earth, one goes to heaven like a hotel for some time. Then after spending one's virtuous earnings, one has to again suffer in hell and in the bodies of the 84 lakh life forms on the basis of sinful deeds. Until one will find a Tadasi saint, the sufferings in the above-mentioned birth, death, heaven, hell, and 84 lakh births of various living beings will continue because only the Satanam and the Saranam of the Supreme God destroys the sins. The sins are not destroyed by the worship of other gods. Only one gets the predestined fruits of all the deeds. Therefore in Gita Adhyay 8, Slok 16, it is said that up to Brahmlok, Maheswarg, the great heaven, all the loks are destructible. When even heaven, great heaven, will not remain, then where will the worshipper find refuge? Please think. Question. Is there no benefit of doing a daily path, a reading of Gita Ji? The charity which we do like, giving roti, bread to a dog, food to a hungry man, flour to ants, bandara on the places of pilgrimages, etc. Is this useless? Answer. By the study of the religious holy scriptures, one gets the fruit of Gyan Yagya, Yagya of knowledge. The fruit of Yagya is heaven for some time, or one gets the fruit of the purpose for which it is done, but not salvation. Main reason for doing a daily path is that the memory of the sadhana, which is instructed in the holy scriptures, and that which is not instructed remains fresh. We do not make a mistake at any time, as a result of which we, giving up the actual aim through negligence, following arbitrary behaviour, and the main aim of human life remains in mind, that by sole aim of human life is only self-welfare, which is only possible by scripture-based worship. Like Zamzidar, farmer, obtained a son in old age, The farmer thought by the time the child will grow up and will become capable of taking the responsibility of the occupation of agriculture, I might die. Therefore the farmer wrote down his experience and said to his son, "Son, when you grow up, then to understand your work of farming, read the record of the experience of mine daily and do your farming." After the death of the father, the farmer's son every day read the record of the experience written by his father, but is not doing as it is written. Can that farmer's son become rich? Never. He should do the same as is written in his father's experience record. Similarly, the devout people are every day doing the path of Holy Gita Ji, but are doing worship opposite to the holy text. Therefore, according to Gita Adhyay 16, slok 23-24, it's futile worship. Like the worship of the three guns, Rajagun Brahma Ji, Satagun Vishnu Ji, Tamgun Shiv Ji, is prohibited in Adhyay 7, slok 12-15 and 20-23, and carry out srads, pitra worship, or to offer pind, to pick up ashes, perform kriya rites in Ganga, to perform taravin, satarvin, mahina, chihamahi, vasi, etc., is prohibited in Adhyay 9, slok 25. To keep a fast is prohibited in Gita Adhyay 6, slok 16. It's written that, O Arjun, Yog, Bhakti, is neither successful of a person who does not eat at all, who keep fasts, i.e., fasting is prohibited. To give food to the hungry people, to feed dogs, living creatures and animals, is not bad, but it is beneficial only to do charity and yajna through a Purna saint, a complete saint, according to his orders. To give food to the hungry people, to feed dogs, best to listen to a complete saint. Like a dog travels in a car sitting in his master's seat, man is the driver of the dog. That animal has more facilities than a common man. A separate room, fan, cooler are available, etc. When that ignorant creature was in a human body, he did charity as well, but did it through arbitrary conduct, way of worship, because of being opposite to the scriptures was not beneficial. It's a rule of God that whatever deed a living being will perform, he'll definitely get its result. Now this rule is applicable until one finds a Tadasi saint, the guide to the Supreme God. Whatever deed a living being performs, he gets the result. According to this rule, by doing bandhara on the places of pilgrimage, tirth and dhams, and on other places, and the basis of the act of giving roti to a dog, he went into the life of a dog. There also he got the result of the actions performed. After finishing the earnings of the virtuous deeds of the previous birth and the life of the dog, went into the life of a donkey. All the facilities will be taken away in the life of a donkey, will carry mud and unbaked bricks the whole day, will suffer the bodies of other living beings, and will have to suffer in hell too. And after experiencing the sufferings of 84 lakh births of various living beings, then attains a human body. Who knows whether he will do bhakti or not, like the sin of the living beings, which are killed under the feet of the person who goes to places of pilgrimage, tirth or dharm, or under the wheels of conveyance he uses, is also borne by that pilgrim only, until the complete saint, who tells the true worship of the Supreme God, is found. Sins cannot be destroyed, because by the worship of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Brahm, Shaparus, Kal, Parbrahm, Akshaparus, sins are not destroyed or forgiven. Fruit of both the sin and the virtue has to be born. If that living being, according to the knowledge of Gita, obtaining the refuge of a complete saint, had done worship of the Supreme God, then either he would have gone to Satlok, or would have again obtained a human body, on the basis of the previous virtues would have found some saint, that living being, then, by performing virtuous deeds, would have got across. Therefore, the above-mentioned arbitrary practice isn't beneficial. Question. It has been stated in Gita Adhyay 3, Slok 35, Adhyay 18, Slok 47, that one's own religion, even if it is devoid of merits, is better than others' religion, which is properly brought into practice. It is auspicious to even die for one's religion. Others' religion is fearsome. It is proved from this that whatever worship one does, one should not relinquish it. It is auspicious to even die in one's religion. Answer. If the meaning of Gita Adhyay 3 Slok 35 and Adhyay 18 Slok 47 is this only, that whatever worship one does, one should continue doing it, do not leave it, then what was the need for the knowledge of Holy Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ji? One slok was enough. The purport of these sloks of Sri Gita Ji is correct, but the translators have given an opposite meaning to it. Please read below the actual meaning of the above-mentioned two sloks. Gita Adhyay 3 Slok 35 translation. One scriptures-based way of worship is much better than another's arbitrary way of worship, that is devoid of qualities, abandoning the injunctions of the scriptures, which is properly brought into practice. It is even auspicious to die in one's scripture-based way of worship, and another's way of worship is fearsome. Gita Adhyay 18 Slok 47 translation. One's own dharma, i.e. religious worship, which is in accordance with the injunctions of scriptures, is superior to another's dharma, religious worship, which is devoid of qualities and is arbitrary, is opposite to the injunctions of scriptures, and is properly brought into practice. Do not perform arbitrary acts of bhakti, formed by oneself, according to one's nature, due to which one incurs sin. Important. Its evidence is clear in Gita Adhyay 7 Slok 1-6. It is clear in the above-mentioned sloks that one's scripture-based way of worship is superior. No matter how well organized others' ostentatious way of worship may seem, it is harmful. Like those who do Jagran of Mata, they sing the praise of Mata through fanciful poems in very melodious voice of all the instruments, getting attracted to that Swanostitat, self-made way of worship, which is against the injunctions of scriptures. One should not leave one's scripture-based way of worship. Like when a worshipper engages in the true worship, then he abandons the previous ways of worship, which were opposite to the scriptures, like Pitra worship, going to the temple, etc. Then other people who do scripture-opposed worship say that you have given up all the previous religious practices, pujas. All the gods will become annoyed with you, and someone had done the same thing. His only son died. In this way, the scripture-opposed worship of others raises fear. But it is auspicious to only carry on doing one's scripture-based worship unto the last breath. Question. According to the method mentioned in Gita Adhyay 6, Slok 10-15, I meditate by sitting on one's seat and bringing the head and other parts into equilibrium. I also keep the fast of Ekdasi, and in this way I will attain peace. Answer. You may please read Gita Adhyay 6, Slok 16, in which it is written that, O Arjun, this yoga, sadhana, is neither successful of a person who eats excessively, nor of one who does not eat at all, keeps fast. It is neither successful of a person who remains too much awake, nor of one who sleeps a lot, nor is successful of a person who does sadhana by sitting in one place. The method mentioned in Gita Adhyay 6, Slok 10-15, has been refuted in Gita Adhyaya 3, Slok 5-9, that a foolish person who forcefully controlling all the senses of action by sitting in one place, meditates, is called a hypocrite. Therefore only Karma Yoga, a worshipper who does worship while doing work, is superior. For the real method of bhakti, God, Brahma, the giver of knowledge of Gita, says about searching Samtadasi Gita, Adhyaya 4, Slok 34. It's evident from this that the method of bhakti told by Brahma, the giver of the knowledge of Gita, is not complete. Therefore in Gita Adhyaya Slok 10-15, Brahma, Sapurush, Kal, has described his own way of worship, and has described the peace attained from his worship to be very bad, anuttamam, in Gita Adhyaya 7, Slok 18. It has been said in the above-mentioned Adhyaya 6, Slok 10-15, that a worshipper who keeps mind and senses under control may prepare a special seat which should neither be too high nor too low. Sitting on that seat, keeping heart and senses under control, must practice by focusing mind, sitting upright, by observing celibacy and controlling mind, one must depart. Engrossed in sadhana in this way, a worshipper attains nirvan paramam, lifeless, nominal peace, residing in me. Therefore, in Gita Adhyaya 7, Slok 18, has called salvation benefit, attained by his worship, to be very inferior, anuttamam. In this very Gita Adhyaya 18, Slok 62, and Adhyaya 15, Slok 4, he has said that, O Arjun, you will attain supreme peace and satlok. Then one does not have rebirth, attains complete salvation. Even I, God, giver of knowledge of Gita, am in the refuge of the Adi Narayan Purush Parameshwar. Therefore, one should only do his worship with firm determination. In Adhyaya 6, Slok 47, he has himself described the path directed on the basis of the conjectural knowledge of his way of worship as yuktatam, mat, the viewpoints of the darkness of ignorance. The other translators have done meaning of me yuktatam mat to be is acceptable as most superior, whereas they should have done it as this is my conjectural opinion based out of the darkness of ignorance, because about the true knowledge he has advised to ask some Tadasi saint. Gita Adhyaya 4, Slok 34. The actual translation of Gita Adhyaya 6, Slok 47. Translation. The conjectural viewpoint on bhakti which I have given in Sloks 10-15, the estimated way of worship, which I have questioned, is not complete knowledge, because amongst all the worshippers, he who worships me with full faith, full determination, according to the bhakti opinion given by me, he, due to the darkness of ignorance, is also engrossed in the worship of birth, death, and heaven, hell. This is my opinion. It is evidence is also clear in Gita Adhyaya 7, Slok 18, and Gita Adhyaya 5, Slok 29, and Gita Adhyaya 6, Slok 15. Therefore, it is said in Gita Adhyaya 18, Slok 62, that, O Bharat, you may go in the refuge of that Supreme God in every respect. By His grace only you will attain supreme peace, and eternal supreme abode, Satlok. In Gita Adhyaya 15, Slok 4, it is said that when you find the Tadasi saint mentioned in Gita Adhyaya 4, Slok 34, then you should search for that supreme state of Supreme God. Having gone where, the worshippers do not return to this world again. They become free from birth and death forever. The Supreme God who has created the world like tree, I also am in the refuge of that eternal Supreme God. One should only worship Him. Even in Gita Adhyaya 3, Slok 5-9, he has proved the knowledge of Gita Adhyaya 6, Slok 10-15 to be wrong. Arjun asked, God, it is very difficult to control mind. God answered, Arjun, controlling mind is like controlling wind. Then he has also said this, that undoubtedly nobody remains without doing any action, even for a moment at any time. A very foolish person forcefully controlling all the senses of action externally keeps thinking something in the mind. Therefore, instead of sitting in one place by observing Hatha Yoga, it is superior to sadhana karma yoga while performing worldly tasks. Compared to not doing action, i.e. doing sadhana with Hatha Yoga, by sitting in one place, it is superior to do sadhana while doing actions. How will you subsist yourself by doing sadhana while sitting in one place? Akarma. Doing sadhana by sitting in one seat with Hatha Yoga, by abandoning the ordinances of scriptures, is a cause of bondage to actions. Secondly, it is superior only to do sadhana while performing actions in accordance with scriptures. Therefore, do sadhana while performing your worldly tasks. In Gita Adhyay Slok 7 has said that fight as well as do my Simran. In this way you will come to me only. In Gita Adhyay 7 Slok 18, Adhyay 18 Slok 62 has said that the benefit, salvation, obtained from my sadhana is very inferior, bad, anuttamam. Therefore go in the refuge of that Supreme God, by whose grace you will attain supreme peace, and shasvatam, stanam, eternal place, satlok. Search for some Tadasi saint, ask him for the method of bhakti, and the complete knowledge of Tat Gyan, of that Supreme God. Even I, Brahma, Sapurush, the giver of knowledge of Gita, do not know it. Question. It is stated in Gita Adhyay 15 Slok 18 that I am famous in Lok, in Ved by the name Purushottam. This proves that God, the giver of knowledge of Gita, only is the Almighty, and the entire Gita Adhyay 12 is describing the glory of the giver of the knowledge of Gita only. Answer. In Gita Ji, God, the giver of the knowledge of Gita, is describing his sadhana and capability, as well as stating the glory of that Supreme God. And is also indicating towards a Tadasi saint for the sadhana of that Supreme God. The entire Gita Adhyay 12 is filled with the glory of Brahma, Sapurush, Kal. And Gita Adhyay 13 is filled with the glory of that Supreme God, Adipurush Parameshwar, in Gita Adhyay 15, Slok 1 to 4, and 16 and 17. In Slok 16 it is said there are two gods in the Lok made up of the element of earth, the 21 Brahmans of Brahma, and the 7 Sank Brahmans of Parabrahm, because of being formed of the element of earth, and are called as one Lok. One is Sapurush, i.e. Brahm, second is Aksapurush, i.e. Parabrahm. The material bodies of all the living beings under these two gods, and of these two gods, are perishable, and the soul is said to be imperishable. In Slok 17 it is said that in reality Purushottam, i.e. the Almighty Supreme God, is someone else other than these two, who is called Paramatma, who, entering into the three Loks, sustains and protects everyone, and he is actually called the Eternal Supreme God. In Adhyay 15, only in Slok 18, the giver of the knowledge of Gita, Sapurush, Brahm, describing his state, is saying that I am called Purushottam, on the basis of Lok Vid, folklore, because I am superior to all the living beings who are under me in my 21 Brahmans, whether they are perishable in material bodies or are imperishable in soul. Therefore, on the basis of Lok Vid, folklore, I am famous as Purushottam. In reality, Purushottam is some other Supreme God, who is mentioned in Gita Adhyay 15 Slok 17. Question. In Gita Adhyaya 10, Slok 2 and 3, I said that no one knows about my origin. He who knows me as beginningless, as one who never takes birth, in essence, he becomes free from all the sins. It's clear from this that Brahma has no birth, and he destroys all the sins. Answer. Read Gita Adhyaya 10, Slok 2 again, in which it is said that neither gods, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiv, nor the great sages know about my origin, because all of them have originated from me. Self-evident from this that God, giver of the knowledge of Gita, as an origin, has taken birth. But the gods and sages born from Kal do not know about it because they have originated from Kal. Like children do not know about the birth of their father, but the father of their father, i.e. the grandfather, only tells about it. Supreme God by himself appearing in Kal's lock has told about the origin of Brahma. Please read the creation of nature in this very book, Gyan Ganga. The translation of Gita Adhyaya 10 Slok 3 has been done wrongly, like in Gita Adhyaya 2 Slok 12 and Adhyaya 4 Slok 5 and 9, has called himself perishable, and that he has repeated births and deaths. And in Adhyaya 2 Slok 17 and Adhyaya 8 Slok 3, 8, 10 and 20 and Adhyaya 15 Slok 4, 16, 17 has said about some other imperishable eternal God. Therefore in Gita Adhyaya 10 Slok 3 has said that the learned person amongst human beings, Tadasi saint, who knows me, and that eternal God, who does not take birth in reality, the Maheshwar of all the locks, Supreme God in essence, that Tadasi saint utters true knowledge. Consequently, by doing bhakti based on the true way of worship, told by that Tadasi saint, one becomes free from sin. Evidence is also in Gita Adhyaya 4, Slok 34. Please read the actual translation of Gita Adhyaya 10, Slok 3. Translation. Neither do the gods nor the great seers know my origin, because I am the cause of the beginning, origin of the gods, and also of the great seers in all respects. Gita Adhyaya 10 Slok 3. Translation. A learned person who knows me and the everlasting, i.e. primordial God, who does not take birth, the great God of all the locks, the greatest God, he who knows the scriptures in the right way, who is equipped with the knowledge in accordance with the Vedas. Tadasi scholar speaks about all the sins in detail, which means he only gives a correct description of the knowledge of creation and actions. He liberates one completely from ignorance, because of which all the sins of a person who does bhakti based on a true sadhana, told by that Tadasi saint, are destroyed. And we will finish there on page 325.